the preschool is closed due to hand, foot, and mouth. We got a ton of messages from people asking so many questions about celiac disease, how we knew to test for it, all of those things. So I thought I would sit down and answer those for you guys. My mom intuition was like, there is something wrong.
Journey, get out of there.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, we got a big school day today.
No, not a big one, cause Wednesday and the other day is our Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, well, that's why you got a big school day today and tomorrow.
This butter tastes, this coconut oil tastes like spray that goes on pants so nothing sticks to it.
Nice, that'll be delicious.
John's worst nightmare.
What?
Love it, Ty.
She's leopard print from head to toe.
I love it.
You look cute. High five. All right, you wanna brush your hair? Did you brush your teeth? Brush your teeth, brush your hair.
I didn't.
Don't lie. You guys, school mornings around here are usually pretty hectic, with the exception of Fridays. Fridays, only our big three go to school. The other girls do not have preschool, and so it's not crazy. Today, only our big three are going to school because the preschool is closed due to hand, foot, and mouth. Last week, day by day, kids were taken out of Everly's class up until, what, Thursday, buddy, remember? Up until Thursday, Everly was the last kid standing. She was the only kid left in her class that did not get hand, foot, and mouth. By Wednesday, Adeline's class had somebody with it. And by Thursday, they said it's in every single classroom. We're canceling school next week. We're just gonna take the week and a half off, and hopefully that does the rest of it in. But you guys, our kids did not get it. Adeline and Everly, neither one of them have gotten it. It's been plenty of days now. If they had gotten it, they would definitely have the symptoms by now. So praise the Lord that they were staying healthy. I attribute it to Ningxia and oils, you guys. We put oils in these kids every single day. We feed them good foods and support their bodies with that. Two other kids that did not get it, that I know of, I'm sure there may be a few more, but my friend Emily's kids did not get it, and she is also a Young Living member using oils and Ningxia for her kids. Mic drop, I'm just saying. You getting dressed? Are you ready to not go to school today? You don't have school, buddy. Your school's closed.
You don't have school today.
This girl loves school. She's gonna be a little disappointed today. I was gonna try to put the big girls on the bus so we didn't have to worry about it.
She said I'd like to go for a ride.
She said, will you help me cut it?
I'll help you cut it.
Say please.
Please.
Okay.
Marin is still sleeping. We're gonna let her sleep. She's been going to bed later than normal. So we're gonna let her sleep in. For real, she was staying up to like would not fall asleep because she's teething. So it was like 12:30 or 1 before she'd finally fall asleep, and then she'd sleep until like 11, so there's that. I'm gonna finish getting their lunches ready. You guys, if you're not following us on Instagram, I'm a little behind on it, but I share what we pack the girls for lunch so you can see what a gluten-free lunch looks like. So like today, we've got these off the eaten path veggie crisps. This is a zucchini something muffin, let me show you. Veggies made great, cranberry orange muffins with zucchini and carrots. They've got a few frozen strawberries because we don't have any fresh ones, some red and green bell peppers, an organic banana, and this Enjoy Life seed and fruit mix. It's got like tiny chocolate chips in it that the kids absolutely love. And then for snack, they're gonna get 1 apple and a thing of made good granola. This is a little bit more, I was thinking it's a little more like packaged processed stuff. There's like 3, 4 things, whatever. I usually try to stick to more like fresh whole foods and vegetables, but we are out of groceries. So there's that. We gotta make a meal plan, get our butts in gear so that we are like prepped for the holiday season, because as soon as Thanksgiving comes, it's gonna be nonstop until we move. We've got 3 birthdays with a week in between each, and then a week until Christmas, and then the New Year's comes and John and I are going to Hawaii.
Let's go.
On a Young Living trip, and then as soon as we get back, we've got like 2 weeks left until we move, so.
Sit. Let me sit with you. Okay. You're my buddy. That's my buddy. All right, we gotta get the kids to school. Hey, you're not even ready to go. Your hair, you gotta brush your hair. You don't have shoes or nothing on. Come on, let's go. Time to leave. Where's your shoes, Jude?
I'm fully leopard.
Yes, you are. Where's your shoes?
I'm gonna be fully leopard.
Next time, get your shoes on. You can be fully Judy today. You getting your oils? Oh, I love you.
John and I are having a conversation, and I showed him this. It was like a meme shared on Facebook, and it said, "You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you." And he's like, "I already saw that." So John's like, "Yeah, but that's not true because you can change the people around you." And I'm like trying to process what he's saying. I'm like, "John, the thing is that like you cannot change, I can't change who you are as a person, but I can change the people who I am around." He's like, "Oh, I was reading it the other way. Like you can change the people you're around. Wait, you can't change the people you're around, but you can change those people and who they are." And I was like,
But see, I was reading
he
it
said it's way more inspirational that way. And I said,
because, well, it's not true either way. Because it's saying you can't change people around you because you can change the people around you. So that is that. I'm saying like you can change their like attitudes. If you have a positive attitude, that is infectious and can reach the next person.
That's true. That's true.
That's
Okay.
not true. So either way you look at it, it's not true. But I thought it was saying you can't change the people that are actually physically around you, but you can change them by the way you act towards them.
and just so you know, that's not true either. You can change the people you're around, and you can change. Here's what it should say.
Like,
It should say.
You can't.
It should say you can change the people around you, or you can change the people around you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just revamped the
Whoever made
wheel.
that quote, you're wrong, good sir or good lady.
Anyway, that was just comical. He's like reading it the wrong way. Like, I mean, I get it. It's the
Maybe
same
you're reading
words.
it the wrong way.
I don't think I'm reading it the wrong way. Okay, so I have to know, when you first heard that, whether it was you've heard it before or me saying it, how did you interpret it? You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. I have a feeling that most of you understand what it meant. Don't tell John. Okay, you guys, the girls are at school. Elena is finally back at school for a full day. If you missed our vlogs last week, she missed quite a bit of school because she was sick. I got a lot of messages from people who were very concerned that she might have the flu or need to go to the doctor. Don't be alarmed. It was not the flu. Elena actually has celiac disease, and it seems like she accidentally ingested gluten. So we're pretty sure that it came from Chipotle. Usually we don't eat out often with the kids because it is impossible almost to find anywhere that is celiac friendly. This Chipotle does a good job. They'll wash their hands, they'll change their gloves, they get food and utensils from a separate part of the kitchen. Everything is stored separately, but I'm thinking it had to be that because her stomach started hurting pretty much right after we had dinner that night. And for about 5 days, she was sick, like sick, horrible stomach pain. She threw up a few times. She couldn't really eat anything, no fever, and she slept a lot, like 12 or so hours a day for the first like couple of days. But she is feeling so much better now, back at school, pretty much back to her normal self. After getting gluten with celiac disease, it takes some time because it does do damage to that small intestine. So it'll take some time for that to heal. So we are avoiding dairy for now, giving her digestive enzymes and just helping support her body as it's healing from that. Moving forward, it sucks so much. It's so hard to watch your child in pain and knowing that like, there's not much you can do to help them other than just wait it out. Adeline and Jude had stomach aches and they definitely had some meltdowns. Like Addie especially was incredibly emotional, and Jude slept a lot more than normal. So they definitely aren't as sensitive as Elena is, but this is actually the worst that she's ever been glutened. Since that happened, we got a ton of messages from people asking so many questions about celiac disease, about how we knew that Elena had it or how we knew to test for it, all of those things. So I thought I would sit down and answer those for you guys. I mean, like a lot of messages. I think we have definitely found our tribe in the gluten-free celiac community. And so you guys, you are not alone. It's good to know we are not alone. We're in this thing together. So let me walk you through, rewind back to Elena, I don't know, 18 months old, 2 years old, still in diapers. I mean, like nobody wanted to change her diapers, okay? We have kids, we had Tyler, like we've been through diapers before. Elena's where they smelled terrible. Like they was never solid, they smelled terrible. This might be too much information, I don't know, but let's just go with it, okay? I brought it up to her doctor and they didn't really seem concerned about it. Maybe, yeah, maybe she's sensitive to dairy or something, you know, whatever. So we made sure when we transitioned her, like she wasn't drinking cow milk, she was drinking like soy, almond, coconut milk, all kinds of things like that. And we just try to limit dairy. Fast forward a little bit, we're learning about health, we're learning about wellness. We don't feed our kids a ton of sugar. We try to feed them organic foods, but I could tell there was definitely something related to Elena's diet. And I wasn't sure if it was, man, like her blood sugar seems to be dipping. Like it was something relating to like meals. Maybe it was the timing of the meals, maybe because every time she would get hungry, she would just melt down, right? Like intense. But then there were other times where she would also melt down. And when I say that, I don't mean like a 3 or 4 year old throwing a temper tantrum. What I mean is that she would like fall out, like the most miserable but pitiful, like but hard to handle. Like you guys, there were some well-meaning relatives close to us who just thought she needed a good old spanking, who thought that she was spoiled, who thought that she just needed to be told no and put in her place and all these things. And my mom intuition was like, there is something wrong. Like she is a sweet kid. She is so like, no, that's not what she needs. There's something going on. But her mood swings and her lows were so low, and like I'm talking 20 to 30 minutes of just screaming on the floor. But when you, like me as a mom looking at her, it was not like, wow, that child is like throwing a tantrum, what a spoiled brat. It was, she's miserable. Like she's miserable in her own body. Like whatever's happened, like she is not okay is what it was, okay? Like I could tell she wasn't okay. I attribute a lot of our knowing something was wrong to intuition. Moms, like it is God-given. Your gut instinct, if it's telling you something's wrong, then something's wrong. If it's telling you to run, run. Like your gut instinct is with you for a reason. It is a gift. Listen to it, okay? So Elena is having these mood swings. I'm like, man, I think there's something going on with her diet. Bam, my mind, light bulb goes off. When John's sister had her baby before Tyler was born, she had all kinds of food sensitivities and all kinds of like reflux and issues. And so they had testing done and they had genetic testing done. And based on that, one of John's parents carried the celiac gene. Maybe she has celiac disease. Maybe it's gluten. That's where my mind went, okay? Because I'm just connecting these dots. Well, if it runs in his family, it's genetic, she could have it. So I bring it up to the doctor. Well, you could try, you know, why don't you try eliminating gluten and see? Okay, I come home, like we're in over our head already with our kids, like just living and trying to figure out life. Cutting out gluten seemed like such a huge thing to do, especially with no like definitive anything. I didn't even know for sure if there was, I mean, she wasn't throwing up, she wasn't in pain, she wasn't anything like that at the time. So we try to stick to more, you know, more organic foods, more fruits and vegetables, whatever. Fast forward a little bit. So we're not sure at this point if it's dairy or gluten, but I'm like, well, John, like maybe we should have, so I asked our pediatrician again, she's like, yeah, I mean, well, why don't you have John tested and see? If he has it, then yeah, it's more likely that she would have it, but that way you don't have to put her through that. So John had to have a physical first and be a new patient. We did all that. And then what even happened? I'm not sure. I think we had a baby at some point because he didn't end up getting the blood work done. And then at some point, we noticed that Elena had started saying her stomach hurt. She said, I don't want to eat pizza. It hurts my stomach. There's certain things. And then other meals, like she wasn't finishing. She was barely eating anything. And so at the point that she started complaining that things were hurting her stomach is kind of when I was like, all right. So I went back to her doctor and I said, we want to have her tested for celiac disease. And she said, okay, let's do, you know, a blood test and see. And I think that she was really expecting it to be negative. But here's the thing. So in that test, they're testing for antibodies. Basically with celiac disease, it's your immune system. Your immune system reacts to the gluten when you ingest it. And so it attacks your small intestine and actually destroys it. So there's antibodies in your white blood cells, like there's antibodies that come up because it's your immune system. So they're testing your blood for these antibodies. So we go in for the blood test. Elena has her blood drawn. We're waiting. It's been a couple weeks. We haven't heard anything. No news is good news, right? I called back and then they didn't return my call. And it had been probably by the time they actually called me, it had been like a month, okay? I get a call. And I will never forget it. I was in this office and they called me and they said, Elena's test results came back. She does have celiac disease. And I was like, are you serious? Like we had already been like, okay, no news is good news. Like we're fine. Oh my gosh, I've been feeding my child gluten for like the past month who can't eat gluten. So with that blood test, here's the thing. Again, it is genetic. With that being positive, and it was positive. 0 to 2, negative, but false negatives are very common with the blood testing, okay? 2 to 10, positive. Hers was a 12. And so that was all that her doctor needed in order to diagnose her. She was like, we're not even gonna do the endoscopy, like it's positive. So we had her positive diagnosis, and then from there she's like, let's test your other children because it runs in families. All the other kids, Adeline, Jude, and Tyler, all tested negative. We did not do genetic testing, so I don't yet know if they have the gene. We do plan to do that so we can see. But I will say that Jude and Addie definitely are sensitive to gluten, if not have celiac. And either the test for them was like a false negative, which Adeline was really young, so it could easily be that, or they've developed celiac since the test. With celiac gene, you can have the gene and it can be activated at any point in your life, which means you might be 60 years old and all of a sudden you get a cold and that activates that celiac gene and you now have celiac disease. You could have celiac disease and not have symptoms. Some people have very mild symptoms, and so you might not even realize it. And so I think the first step for anyone who's asking, who thinks there may be dietary issues or thinks their children have issues with gluten, have that genetic testing done. You could have a blood draw and have them do the celiac antibody test and the genetic testing done at once. That way, even if the celiac blood test is negative, if they have that celiac gene, you know that blood test might be wrong, or they could develop it later in life. And so you can plan accordingly to have them tested routinely. So that's kind of where we are with the girls. Once we knew Elena had celiac, we cleaned out our kitchen, scrubbed everything. You guys, like, you can't touch gluten and then touch things in the kitchen because the gluten sticks like glue. You touch a sandwich and touch the refrigerator door, and then Elena touches the refrigerator door, now she's got gluten on her hand. If she eats, she's sick. We had to replace anything in our kitchen where the surface might be scratched, like plastic Tupperware or plates, pots and pans with non-stick surfaces, because you can't clean the gluten out of those tiny scratches. So we had to replace all of that, cleaned gluten out of our kitchen, and our whole family went gluten-free. That way we knew this would be a safe place for Elena and any of the other kids to eat without worrying about cross-contamination here. But occasionally, it is nice to be able to eat out and to try to find the restaurants that have good reviews and are celiac friendly. But I guess we are learning too in this that it's not foolproof. Anytime there's no control over that environment, there is a chance of glutening happening. And now we know. But you guys, if you think that something's going on with your child and your doctor's not listening, get a second opinion, find a new doctor who will. That mom gut is 100% why, I pressed for the testing. Our pediatrician didn't think she needed it, but I was like, I think there's something wrong. So I can't imagine if we had let it go on, how much longer. Celiac disease can be really serious. Your body damages your small intestine to the point where it could put a hole in it. It can cause cancer. It can cause you not to be able to absorb nutrients from your food. So many problems can come from it, and 80% of people with celiac disease go undiagnosed. So all of that to say, I hope that answers your questions regarding celiac. I hope this helps so many of you who have been sending us messages. It's a long road, but you know what? It's not the hardest thing. I think it's helped us to take a better look at what we're eating and what our kids are eating and to be really intentional. If you've been recently diagnosed with celiac, the best advice I have for you is to focus on whole foods. Don't try to replace all of your gluten-containing foods with gluten-free versions. Those are usually really high in carbohydrates and sugars, or fillers and gums and things that aren't great for you. Instead, focus on vegetables, fruits, on proteins, beans, legumes, like focus on real foods. So for us, we'll eat veggie burgers on, or burgers on lettuce wraps instead of on a bun. We'll have pizza bowls in spaghetti squash instead of on bread of some sort, or we will have zucchini boats, you know, with rice and beans or whatever it is. So those are kind of some of the things we do. Instead of replacing a ton of bread or pastas, we use fruits and vegetables more. They get more nutrients, they get more healthy foods, and it's still gluten-free. All right, hope that's helpful. Love you guys. We'll see you later.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of our videos, click follow, follow again, and then tap see first to make sure you stay up to date on what's going on with our family.